Welcome back to Boruto Anime Review episode 207. This is reviewing the 207th episode of the anime, Regeneration. This one finishes up chapter 200 and... Okay. Finishes up chapter... Not 200. Chapter 41, basically covering the last 5 pages of the chapter, and goes through the entirety of chapter 42, and goes through... From what I can tell, 26, the first, basically goes up to page 26 out of 41 for chapter 43. Yeah, it's interesting though, by chapter 43, they're pretty much up to the chapters that came out last year. Like, wow, that's quite something. Basically, this episode is a massive fight scene. Starts off with basically Bar figuring out exactly how in the world they were able to beat, well, his virus that he was unleashing last episode. Antibodies. Yes, it's explained that Mitsuke's snake not only bit him just to try to poison him, but also to take some sample of his blood, which getting antibodies, and of course Mitsuke created antibodies for everybody to use. And that's how they beat the virus. And then he basically decided, like, after fighting for a while, he decided to go after Naruto again. But this time they're able to block him, thanks to, of course, well, they try to release the virus again. It's like, we can't use that again. And then he basically unleashes exploding shuriken, which damages Kawanaki, but he's perfectly fine. So then we have Boruto and Mitsuki basically pummeling Bara right after that. And basically blasted through pretty much all the man's clothing. He pretty much is completely naked. I mean, the only way you're not seeing his groin or his butt, he has this like black thing that covers it up. So, of course, this is where Kawanaki mentions to Sadara about Armando, the fact that all scientific individuals made by him have got weaknesses. Basically, it says there's a limit to his genius. So they pretty much come up with the idea, he speaks to Sadara about this, to eliminate his core and using her Sharingan to basically use it. They mention this in the anime. In the manga, they don't really mention that part. It's a little bit later, but it's a little bit earlier. So while the boy is basically beating the crap out of Baro, and he, of course, casting hand signs, apparently moves around his core, and Sadara figures out exactly where his core is, and she decides to unleash Chidori on it. Yes, Chidori. And that takes out his core out of his right flank, basically his side. And then he starts going haywire because the core is gone. So basically he puffs up. His beard gets bigger. Yes, his beard gets bigger. And he grows like 4 or 5 legs. And then, of course, Gronk is like, well, we're pretty much exhausted. Let's just leave him alone. Because he's pretty much done for anyway. So he basically won't find anybody here. We're just basically stranded here. So they go back to the pot, basically, Naruto's in. So they figure out to get him out of the damn thing. And they, of course, Squadron comes with the ingenious idea. Use the same board they used to get there to get him out of that particular pot. And they do. And they get him out after he's been in the thing for about, I'd say 3 episodes he's been in the thing right now. In the manga, I think it was slightly longer. Yes, I think in the manga he was in, I think, about 6 chapters. In the anime it was roughly about 3 episodes. And he gets out and discovers he's unconscious. And no less than like a second later, Mitsuke gets nearly squished by Baro in his rampage because he's basically gone nuts because his core is taken out. Of course, they did make a mild change here. We have Sadara basically standing around. It's like, oh, you missing this? Crush. Yeah. In the manga, it's like, take it out, crush it there. Here, she crushed it right in front of Baro, which I thought was really kind of interesting and made him go nuts. Of course, they also made his arm, and of course, Kawanaki is very much knocked out. And then, of course, Baro basically picks up Sadara when she's trying to use the fireball jutsu on him, and she's like crushing her. And of course, she's basically Baro telling him to stop. Then basically, he gets knocked on the ground. I think she gets tossed aside. Of course, then you have Baro just pummeling Boruto on the ground, the giant Baro. And you know, says, wait, where'd he go? And then we hear a voice that, if you watch the sub, you probably have not heard this voice since the Chunin exam arc. It's Momoshiki, possessing Baro. Well, his his soul is the karma. He pretty much is basically like a little horn thing out of his head. One of two times this actually happened in the manga. This actually was the very first time this happened. And he says to him, "Don't get cocky, you inferior creature." And Zara was wondering, like, what the heck is going on? And that's where the episode ends. I gotta say, great episode. Loved it. And next week, we're probably gonna wrap up this portion of the arc. Because I did hear something, apparently we're finally gonna go to original content after basically been in canon stuff for, like, oh my gosh. This arc has been going in the anime for quite some time. Like, wow, like, oh my gosh. This basically, I would probably say this was going in the anime. I'd say since episode number 88. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'd say about 88. They've been, since 188, that's what this arc is going on for, but the previous arc, the Owl arc, that has been going on. Okay, so they've pretty much been adapting the manga regularly in this anime since episode 178. Roughly, almost. As of right now, we've had 30 straight canon episodes. The only original content we actually had, well, actually, scratched it. They've been basically, I would say since like 81, I think. Yeah, it was since 181. So for 27 straight episodes, they've been adapting straight from the manga. Yep, 27 straight episodes. Well, actually, scratch that. There was actually a couple episodes that actually were, in fact, like in original content. Mm-hmm. Yes. As far as I can tell, I think like the only time I can think of where they actually had like anime original stuff was, let's see, they had one anime original episode, and I think it was like 191. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was by far the only one I could think of. Actually, it was 190, 191. So basically, out of the past 27 episodes that have adapted from the manga, only two of them are anime original content. Yeah, only two. So out of the two anime original contents, that means that 25 canon episodes. But yeah, it's interesting. We have two really good story arcs in a row, and from what I heard, they're going to basically go into original content soon. From what I've heard, I heard this from Forever News, that we might be going into this possibly after either next episode or either after 208 or 209. I'm not really sure. We'll have to find out and see exactly when because I did hear we're going to go to original content. Yep. Though, it's good original content what they're having. Yep, but they're going to temporarily halt the adaptation of the manga, which has been going on for quite a while. I mean, so far, like, if you're curious, like, how many chapters have been adapted for the manga, like, how many are left, per se? Well, as of right now, because I got the 42, there's exactly 13 chapters left. Yeah, there are 13 chapters about, though I think that presumably after either next episode, I would say that next week will probably cover the rest of about 43. Oh, yeah, probably will. I'd say it probably go. I'd say about 2 more episodes. I'd say we're going for this candy content for and original stuff. Yep. But yeah, I might not say about it, but it's really good. And I think next week we're also probably going to have the release of the next chapter of the manga. Yes, I do think so. Okay, so that's it for this review. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be Doctor Who. That'll be up soon. Okay, to the next video. Bye.